know, actually finding the centroid, if you're actually given a triangle that's on the coordinate plane, is not that hard. Because remember, after all, the centroid is just that meeting point after you find the midpoints to the sides of the triangle and connect them to the opposite vertex. So really, it's not a big deal, but it does require you to use the midpoint formula from the Cartesian coordinate plane. Let's take a look at an example and see this in action. So here's the challenge. Given this particular triangle, let's find the coordinates of the centroid. Okay, so here we're given the triangle in the coordinate plane. You see the points are labeled 4, 0 for A, 0, 6 for B, and 8, 3 for C. Now, in order to find the centroid, what I want us to do is to find a few midpoints of certain lengths. So where should I start? Let's start with the BC length. So let's find the midpoint of the BC length. So if I give you 2 points, how do you find the point that's right in the middle? Well, it's really easy. Basically, think of it as I want to find the average of these points, which means you find the average of the x values and you find the average of the y values. So the average of the x values, you add up 0 and 8 and you divide by 2 and get 4. If you take 6 and 3 and you add them up, you get 9, take half of that, and you get 4.5. And so we see that it's probably going to be at 4, 4.5. And let me just show you what that looks like if you were to write that down. And so if you write that down, you would see exactly what we just found. So I just did all this work in our heads. But to find the midpoint between 2 points, you just take the average x value, so add, divide by 2, the average y value, add, and divide by 2. And so what do we see? What we see in this case is we get the point M, the midpoint of BC, at 4, 4.5. Great! So now what do? Well, now I connect that point with the vertex that's opposite it, which is A. And check it out. Since A has coordinate x in the x-coordinate 4, and M has the x-coordinate 4, these are actually going to be perfectly vertical. And so what I see now, if you think about it, is we're going to get this line. So that is the line on which we know the centroid is going to live. But where exactly on that line? Well, we have to find another centroid. How about if we find this centroid with respect to looking at the midpoint of AB? So again, same exact thing. To find the midpoint between A and B, I average the x's. 0 plus 4 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. I average the y's. 6 plus 0 is 6. Divided by 2, you get 3. So it looks like 2, 3, which actually visually even looks right. But if you were to write that down, just to show you what we just did, in case you're wondering what we just did, I wonder what we do sometimes. We'd see that. And so we see 2, 3. So it's exactly what we thought. 2, 3 right there is where we're going to see the point, and if I connect it with the line, notice that we have a y-coordinate here of 3. We have a y-coordinate on the opposite vertex of 3. So this is going to be a purely horizontal line. So these are really easy to analyze, because if this is purely horizontal and this is purely vertical, then I know exactly how to find the coordinates of the intersection. It's going to be the same x value as this and the same y value as this. So 4, 3. And so I see that the intersection of the two medians, so this is one median, this is another median, is 4, 3. All right, now you could, in fact, if you wanted to, find the median here for AC, but it's not necessary. These 2 points, these 2 lines cross, and where they cross is exactly where the centroid is. So that is the centroid. We know it's 4, 3. Done. But if you wanted to kind of check this and see if this really is correct, we could find the extra median and make sure that it passes through there. Let's just do that as a little check, even though it's not required of the question. So let's check it out for ourselves and see that, in fact, if we just go back to this picture here, then we'd have to find the midpoint between A and C, which is going to be a little bit more tricky because it's a skew line. And so we have to just use the midpoint formula, which is to find an average. And if we find the average, we see that it's going to be 6, 1.5. So where is that? That's 6, it's here, 1.5. It looks like it's right there, so it should be right there. Let's see if it's there. There it is. I'm going to call that P. And now if I connect this point with the opposite vertex, we're going to get the median, which is right there. And now, visually, it looks like it passes through.